Hey, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about my 3 to 6 months of being alcohol free. I had an edge. I had a lot of edginess to me when I was a drinker. I'd lose my grip on reality a lot of times, and I just would let the anger and my anxiety and my fears get the best of me. And the first few months, it really just took for me to finally get to the bottom of what was really getting at me. So I've got a few points to make here. So point number one being to get over that edge, you got to stay sober. At least that was my experience. When I quit drinking, and I go into detail about this in some of my other videos, but when I quit drinking, I wasn't planning on quitting completely. I really just wanted to kind of control it. And but as time went on, I kind of realized that to make this work and to actually get better, I might have to just not drink for a period of time, and we'll see how that goes. And like I said, I go into detail about how I got sober in my first few months of sobriety in 2 separate videos. But staying sober was key number one. Number two was actually healing myself physically from the alcohol abuse that took place over those 27 years of my life and my drinking. And again, I go into detail about those as well in those other 2 videos that you can see on my channel. Number 3 was getting over those urges to drink, especially the big urges. I went into detail about that in my video in the first 3 month of sobriety video, and how on day 72 or 73 I was able to get over that biggest urge that I had to drink in those first few months. And from that point forward, things were different. I was more focused on mentally growing, and I was able to do that because I was not drinking. And I was only able to do that because I got to that 90-day mark. And I did make a big deal about that 30-day sobriety, the 60-day, and the 90-day. Because to me, those were big accomplishments. Some people don't like to count days or celebrate milestones, but for me it was huge and it was beneficial. And so that brings me to point number 4, which is around the 3 or 4 month period. I was still having anger issues, and I was still experiencing fear and anxiety, and particularly over the last night that I drank, and my reaction to my family and one of my daughters in particular. And I go into detail about that in my church testimonial and my other 2 sober videos on getting over the big hurdle, and also my first 3 months of sobriety. But it was really that night that led me to getting sober, staying sober, but it was also causing me fear and anxiety, like, has she forgiven me yet? Has my family completely forgiven me yet? Have I forgiven myself yet? And so I have a story, and I call it the cucumber story. I was shaving a cucumber over the trash can. I turned around, tripped over the dog crate, and in between the garbage can and dog crate, and I got angry. I was twisted up, and I got angry, and I flung that cucumber across the kitchen, and it hit the coffee maker and knocked it to the ground, where it shattered all over. And I just was left there thinking, what did I just do? You know? I made something that was really not that big of a deal into a big deal. And that's what being addicted to alcohol kind of did to me. I wasn't able to grow in my life, and as I grew in my sobriety, I was able to kind of put those things into perspective. And as I cleaned up that mess and just kind of thought about what I had done, my daughter came in. She said, what happened? I said, oh, I tripped, and the cucumber slipped out of my hand and it hit the coffee maker and fell down and broke. And of course I knew in my mind that I flung the cucumber out of frustration and anger, but it was slippery and I wasn't intending on it letting go of it, but I did, and that's what happened. But in my mind I knew the truth, and I was doing it because I was angry, and that caused a whole problem. I had to go and buy a new coffee maker. I had to go to 2 different stores. I had to spend a couple hours in town going to pick up a new coffee maker, and it was really not necessary. It was unneeded, and I caused that, and my anger caused that. And so that leads me to point number 5, which is like coming to terms with your fears. And I didn't really particularly like feeling like a nice guy. I mean, I always kind of looked at myself as someone who was a nice person, but as I grew in my sobriety, I kind of realized that I was being nicer now that I kind of learned from that I call it a lash out with the cucumber, and that was really the last time I had a bad lash out like that. And it's been over 4 years now since I stopped drinking, and I kind of attribute that story to how I was able to get over that edge, because it kind of made me realize that I was I had the ability to ruin things just by lashing out, and I would make things worse. And so I was able to kind of introspect, and I was in therapy at that time. I was able to talk through those feelings with my therapist, but it was really to a point where I was like, I'm being nice to everybody, and I'm calm, and I'm handling people's maybe critical comments better and differently than I did before. Where before I would, if someone made a comment that I didn't like, I would typically like cause a problem with them with that, and say, I don't like the way that your tone is, and I would rise up to their occasion. And instead I would start to not take it so personally, and I would just kind of like think, they don't mean it personally, and I can respond more proportional to what they're saying, and not just raise that temperature and ignite something and make it worse. But it caused me to think, I don't like being nice. Like, it feels weird. Like I look at my wife's dad, and he's very calm, and I look at people that handle things, and they don't get upset and angry, and I kind of look at that like it's cheesy, and that's how I felt. And it felt really like icky, uncomfortable, and like I just don't like that feeling, like Mr. Rogers, like squeaky clean and nice. But it took me a few months to kind of, and even maybe that first whole year, to accept that this is the new me, and it's a better me, and it's a me that people want to be around, and I enjoy being around myself more, because I'm comfortable in my own skin. And so that really was it. And number 6 is I started to see that I don't really need alcohol to or anything else, in that, for that matter, drugs, to cope with life. And alcohol is a drug, and I didn't need that I don't need alcohol and I don't need drugs or anything to take the edge off. And that was freeing. That was such a freeing feeling. Because a lot of people that use drugs and alcohol, they say, you know, let's do this. We'll take, like, let's smoke this or drink this, and we'll take the edge off. And looking back on that, it's like, you know, now I can take the edge off by taking a walk, and I calm down in a matter of minutes. Whereas when you drink, you know, you're just pushing off the inevitable. You still have to face these things in life, and when you wake up the next day, you feel crummy, and you drink again, and you just do that whole thing over again, and you never really get to the bottom of what's bothering you. And at least that's what I found. And so those are my key 6 points to this, taking the edge off. I just went from drinking to having a better life, and not feeling like I needed to take the edge off. And so that's all I got for you today. I hope you all have a great sober day, and we'll see you soon. Take care.